So welcome. I'll start off by giving sort of an introduction, sort of rounding the concepts of what we're discussing. You don't know where you've landed. This is a meeting on what one would call non-duality, which of course isn't a thing. It's actually an unthing. So it's a mystery. So what we're going to be talking about or sharing is a mystery. So whatever's happening, whatever feelings or thoughts or movements are being seen, it's actually a mystery. It's actually happening without any need for it to be understood. It's actually happening as a singularity or as everything. It's happening without an opposite. It's happening without knowing. It's undefinable. It's not one place or some other place. It is everything that seems to be happening. It is all there is. So to go looking for it is actually the experience of it being somewhere else or there being something else. It's an illusion. What sense does it make to go look for all there is? What we're pointing to is whatever's happening has no other. There is no where else. The recognition of nowhere else is the collapsing of this into or as simply what appears. No one looking, no one hearing. There's just hearing, or seeing, or feeling. That includes the sense of separation. That includes the sense I'm looking, I'm seeing, I'm hearing. That's also all there is. So this meeting isn't what one would normally consider a spiritual meeting as far as us trying to find stillness or space or the now or to meditate or to change anything. There's absolutely no intention in this meeting at all. It's merely pointing out that there is only the singular, immediate what isness. And that does not change. There is no way to get closer to this or further away from it. There's no judgment in this meeting about the experience of duality as being right or wrong or good or bad. This meeting isn't about getting rid of the sense of duality. The appearance, exactly as it is, has no intention. It doesn't need to become, and it's not becoming. It doesn't even really need to be what it is. And in a sense, it isn't. It's apparent, but it's nothing that can be known. There's nowhere to put the attention or consciousness. There's no solidity to it. It's just simply seeming. There's words seeming to happen, hearing seeming to happen, sitting seeming to happen, moving seeming to happen. It's just seeming to happen. This appearance, what's happening, is completely unconnected. There isn't another appearance. This isn't the result of a moment that happened before. Anything that seems to have happened before is this appearing as that. There's no real continuity to it. The only reason that would be dissatisfying is because there might be an experience that there's separation, or that the appearance is known. If there's an experience of knowing the appearance, there'll be a need for a future. There'll be hope. Because that experience of knowing what this is an experience in dissatisfaction, unease. Because this is no longer unknowable aliveness, but it's known. And immediately this is known, it loses the aliveness or the mystery that it is. It seems to. To that experience, it seems to be lost. It's not, but it seems to be lost. And so the mystery is then sought. The difficulty is the knowing experience wants to know. So it's seeking in its own world of knowing, trying to gain enough knowing not to need to know anymore. Knowing what this is, imbues the need to know more. Knowing what this is at the same time the need to experience or looking for an experience of satisfaction, of fulfillment, of wholeness. That seeking, that knowing, makes this seem like it's not that already. This is what's longed for. This is the end of seeking. Nothing needs to happen for that. But it'll never satisfy the need to know. This message will always be dissatisfying and frustrating to the need to know because there's really nothing in it. It's just merely pointing out that there isn't anything else happening. There isn't anything needed. This is already fulfilled, not for anybody, but as itself. Empty appearance, empty happening. Okay, I think that's got a little bit, some ideas out there, which we can discuss if you like.
I wanted to ask you about the impact of meditation. I'm aware of the overall idea here. I think I'm completely new, by the way, to this.
Oh, right.
But so I'm quite stubborn in a way, and I read chap who's forgotten his name now, but he said in his books, this is the way to Mananasa. So I read it, and you have to do lots and lots of meditation. And so I changed my meditation from fairly small amounts, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon, to longer sits. And I'm getting on for 18 months into that. And it's changed. I'm stubborn and I'm sticking with it, even though I've heard it said that this is the me, and it could even be reinforcing that. So I'd just like to get your reflections on what I'm doing, and if you think on a wider scale that there's anything worth talking about. Thank you.
No, there's nothing worth talking about. There's just no value in anything at all. That's the message. And meditation, if we talk about it in a story sort of experiential way, it's very healthy. It has sort of effects on there's an outer skin of the brain that it seems to get thicker, seems to be able to help you with your emotions and other things like that. It has a very positive sort of psychosomatic effect on the person, on the individual. But that's not really what we're talking about here. And now I don't think that meditation would make the me stronger. The me is so thin already. it's really an illusion that can just disappear for no reason, the same way that it arises. So it doesn't matter. And you aren't choosing to meditate. So choosing, the experience of choosing or not to choose is the same thing. So it doesn't make any difference, really. It's just what seems to be happening. The intention of meditation most of the time, though, is to find something spiritual that seems to be missing. And that's just misguided. There's nothing right or wrong with that. It's just misguided. Where the meditation's promise is that you will find what you're looking for. You will never find what you're looking for. You cannot find what you're looking for. You look because you know. Knowing is the need to look. It's a very small circle. It just goes around and around and around itself. You can have experiences during meditation. You'll think you're getting somewhere. You'll think you're progressing, finding something. But the end of the need to know is this. It doesn't go anywhere. There isn't any need already. And this is not the result of anything that's ever seemed to happen, because this isn't connected to anything that ever seemed to happen. This is already all there is. So meditation is just something that seems to happen, has no effect on the fact that what's longed for is what is already, as the end of that need for this to be something.
It's good to hear that there's no strengthening of the me directly as a result of the exercise of doing, if you call it an exercise.
Nobody can do anything, nobody chooses anyway. It doesn't matter. And even if it did strengthen the me, that a really strong me could fall away just as easily as a really weak me. It makes no difference.
That's super. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Jim.
Hey.
Jean-Marc, how are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
Very good. Good to see you again. I don't have so much of a question. There's more of a train of a thought. In fact, you just re-triggered it by a comment you just made, and I would appreciate your feedback on that. About the whole illusion of free choice. Now, from what I gathered so far, is that since there is no me, since there is no one, there's no one to make a decision. And if it is so, and there's no decision being made by anyone, then there's really no difference whatsoever between the circumstances of Jim Newman and someone else, in the sense that whether or not I think I'm making a choice, or I don't even think about it, and I do, or I actually what's happening is happening, the outcome will be the same.
The uncause is the same. The outcome is obviously different, but the uncause is the same. Nobody chooses. There's just what seems to happen. And there is only what seems to be happening.
So in that context, I'm kind of fascinated by the idea that there appears to be almost a story unfolding, not being told by anyone, except, well, beingness is not anyone, it's beingness, but it seems that there is, out of beingness emerges or appears, there's a story, at least on this little planet of ours, with, key moment, Roman Empire, this and that, and there's this highlight. And it seems to me that if there was, that despite the fact that there's no choice being made, it almost appears that there is a design to it.
Oh, yeah. Well, somebody would think that. Yeah.
So,
I mean, just to get clear, that none of that happened.
Right, because it's only what's happening.
Yeah. So that story is this appearing as that story. It didn't really happen.
But when you assess the story in the world of appearance, there still seems to be structure. You know, I don't know, a script. I don't know. I'm not sure what the right word is. A design.
I can go for structure. I can't go for strict script, and I can't go for design, because that comes from the experience that what is ordered. You get the experience that there must be a design, but the order isn't real. It only appears ordered. There's nothing behind that order.
Well, but there could be, but there could be a disorganized design.
Yeah, but this is total. But this is completely disorganized. It's absolute chaos. It's anarchy. It just happens to. It just happens to appear ordered.
Yeah,
that ordered is the objectification. If there's an individual, it will have an experience of that orderedness. And then it'll have the idea that there must be a design or something behind it, because it seems like a structure. But that orderedness is completely insubstantial. It has nothing behind it. It has no solidity whatsoever. And said again, it has no need to be ordered. It just simply appears that way.
Right. I mean, I'm not implying the idea of a need whatsoever. But it seems to me that if there is no, and just allow me to ramble a little bit. But if there is no cosmic design unfolding, I would imagine that it would be much more chaotic than it is, because the appearance.
No, but it is much more chaotic than you seem to think.
So what you're saying is essentially is the perception of my person, my ego mind, that projects some order on it.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? You're
absolutely.
Right.
The individual is a continuity. The individual, for the individual, this moment is the result of the last moment and the cause of the next moment. That arises because what is seems to be solid, and therefore it creates this sort of continuum in which it lives, which in another way is its hope. The individual, it's completely illusory, so it doesn't matter. But its experience is that this is somehow missing something, and it's missing the aliveness because it knows what it is. And so that missing the aliveness creates then this need for the whole continuum, because that's the hope that it will find in the future what it feels is missing now. When that need, that's why I said need earlier, when that need is no longer, this appearance doesn't have that need intrinsically. That's all part of the illusory experience of solidity. Then there's also no experience of this as being a real continuum, or experience of this being a real, what's the word? Structure, construct.
Yeah. Construct, yeah.
This is completely unconnected to anything else. This appearance, it's singular, immediate.
Spontaneous. It's so immediate, it's so insubstantial that you can't even say that it is. All you can say is that it is and isn't at the same thing. You're talking about the appearance here.
I'm talking about the whole of it.
When
you say appearance, you're saying what your senses are telling you. I'm saying that everything which is and isn't perceived is and isn't real, all at the same time. It's a mystery. And as that mystery, there is no substantiality for there to be a construct. There is no substantiality for this to have a real continuum. All there is emptiness. The entire appearance is simply emptiness.
So at some point too, I remember you mentioned a couple of times at least that the brain seems to be responsible for the body's actions. I mean, one could say a lot of the so-called the appearing the appearing decision we make are just dictated by biological promptings. I mean, if there is no choice being made by no one, since there is no one. I mean, the body, which is, this small part of the appearance, is going to have to, at some point, eat or not. Then if it doesn't eat, it essentially, dissolve back into nothing. But it seems we're still being prompted. There's like prompts. But so at one time, I heard you essentially say that some of this prompting behind some of our actions, if not all of our actions, may be coming from the brain.
Oh, it is. It's all the brain.
It's all in the brain.
Yeah, but the brain is a story. There isn't really a brain. But if you want to talk about brains and conditioning, then it is the brain that makes decisions. That is the functioning aspect of the body. Sends signals and things.
I'm not sure, I can't remember the title at this moment. And in fact, it's a book I've never read, because I started reading it. It was written by a couple of scientists, and it was so intellectual. But the content, though, the content behind the experiments that they had repeated quite successfully, essentially was implying that there was no free will. That even before an action is taken by what we think is our choice, there was actually a millisecond, a microsecond before we think we made a decision.
No, it's longer than that. It's longer than a millisecond. It's a few seconds.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah, it's quite a...
They were saying they could measure an activity in the brain always just a moment before an action was taken or a choice was made by the participant. And
what me does, and what the experience of me does, so that the appearance is simply unconnectedness, wild, crazy, absolute unconnectedness appearing. This appearance isn't actually understandable. That's how chaotic it is, how anarchic it is. It's just appearing. Could be anything. It just happens to be this at the moment, only apparently. And the brain, the me, takes all of that and owns it and puts it into a context and a continuum which relates to itself. Nobody does that. It's not a choice. So we're not trying to find a meditative state where that no longer happens. That is what happens. So this contracted energy arises, says, I am here. And it doesn't actually arise in the body. It arises in everything, even time and space. And all of that is then me. And everything that seems to arise in that is then mine. It's own to me. It all belongs to me. So it makes sense out of it as a relationship.
So all there is essentially is almost...
What is and isn't this.
It is and isn't.
That's it. That's the end of it. You can't say anything else, really. It's all qualities and not one quality defines it.
It's just incredible.
Simple. It's so simple.
Yeah, the simplicity is almost overwhelming.
Oh, it's totally overwhelming.
Yeah, but to the mind, the mind.
Oh, completely. Well, you can't understand it. There's no real distance, space, or time to understand it in.
Right.
Because all of that is it as well. There is no separation. There is nothing else. There's simply what's arising, and that's the simplicity of it. There is no objectification of it. There's no need either. Only in the dream of the individual is there a need to know what's happening because it thinks it has control. It doesn't. There's just immediacy. So
essentially our lives are just like movies.
There aren't any lives.
Well, I mean, the appearance that we call our lives, our so-called experiences, if we were to, the work, we almost should relate to them as movie we're watching, because the movie is going to unfold exactly.
There's nobody to watch.
What?
There's no one to watch.
Well, I mean,
it's immediate.
The ego mind think is watching.
Yeah, I know. That's the dream.
Right.
That's this meeting. This meeting is pointing out that's an illusion.
So whether this meeting happened or not makes no difference whatsoever for anyone.
Well, nothing makes any difference because nothing's really happening.
Right.
Nothing makes any difference because the appearance, contrary to the experience of the individual, which says it knows this, the appearance is completely unknowing, all unknowing, appearing. And in that has no need or intention to become. There's nowhere for this to become.
Because it's already complete.
Completely.
Right.
Completely complete.
There's so much peace in that.
Mm. Well, there's just what seems to be happening.
Right, but yeah. Peace comes out of that realization or that... It's quite beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, that's how I perceive it at the moment.
Yeah.
I might change my mind.
Yeah, you let me know.
Corner. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello, Jim.
Hey.
I was just figuring out how this whole raise your hand thing works.
Yeah. Hey, Ellen.
Hi. I just love the conversations with you, and the last one. And every time I hear someone talk to you, so I want to say something. But when you say anarchy, that is it.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Just that. Nothing. No control. No. But the one thing I did is something that came up is what makes this different than a philosophy? Because what you're saying is very logical in a certain way.
Yeah.
And so it can be understood as a philosophy and just, and people live their whole lives with a philosophy and they feel, and you're kind of going in and out, your colors are changing.
I know. I don't know what to do. Yeah, it's not a philosophy because it's just not the words are actually pointing to something else, to something that can't be understood. Oh, you broke up. Ellen, come back. You're gone, Ellen. Yeah, so it's not a concept. It's pointing to something beyond the words for everybody else who's still here.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Ray.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The question is, does this pretend that there's someone here? And then if it hears this message, the pretending stops.
Can do, yeah.
Is that what it is like? Because
you could sort of say that, yeah.
Is it realized for a bit that was all a pretension? Or it was, even though there's no one pretending?
Yeah.
But it feels like you were doing it?
No. The end of it is really the recognition that it never happened.
And is that felt as when you say it feels like it never happened? No,
I didn't say it feels like. It's recognized as not having happened.
And the recognition, is it like a recognition of something that could never happen, that there was never a possibility of it happening either?
Totally. It's very well. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's actually an unrecognition. It's an unhappening. Because what's happening, if there's a positional experience, a particular experience of me and mine, that's having the experience of there being separation, that there's something known and there's something else, and there's someone that needs to do something about it. That's never, ever true. There is no separation. There are no individuals. There's no one at this meeting.
Can I just ask a follow-up question really quick?
Yeah. You can do it slowly if you like.
Just don't want to take up much of people's time. So are all distances or measurements, are they all just arbitrary?
They're apparent.
They're apparent.
Meaning they're neither real nor unreal. They're insubstantial.
That's, I think, what I meant by arbitrary. I meant it's just whatever you want. Do you know? That's what I meant.
Well, it's not whatever you want. It is that
things. Is it just is it arbitrary? It isn't actually there. There's no distance actually there. I feel there's space there, but there's no distance.
There's no space.
There's no space.
Not really.
As in when there's space around me.
Yeah, there's no you.
That's where you get caught.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all the questions that I had.
Great, thanks.
Good evening, Jim.
Good evening. Hello.
Hello, Jen here.
Hey, Jen.
Can I ask if there's a heightened experience there in mind and body when apparently in a meeting like this?
Can be. Are you talking about there or here?
There.
You mean for me? If there's a heightened experience? No. I'm a little concerned about looking pink, but other than that, other than that, there's no heightened awareness.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Good luck with the pink.
Thank you very much. I need it. Did you have a question?
I've just been, this is the first time I've been here live. I've seen a lot of your videos.
Oh, right.
Which I think are amazing. Yes. One question that has stuck in my mind that for myself, I have an answer, but I just wanted to see what you thought. You talk a lot about the dream, and this is all a dream.
No.
But not this, but we create a dream of ourself and existence.
So
it's so the idea of I or personhood is just a concept.
No, it's an illusion. It's not a concept. It actually has a basis in an experience in the body of a tension, a contracted energy.
Okay.
That arises for no reason in the body.
Okay. So my real question is about science. Science is part of the dream too. Is that
no,
true?
It's just part of the appearance. The only thing that's the dream, the only thing that's completely illusory is the experience that this is known. The experience that I am.
The experience that I am.
And all the apparent consequences that come out of there's like a long tail that comes out of the experience I am of meaning and purpose and hope and free will and choice and the need to find something. All of that comes out of that.
So I guess, but so my real question is, so science describes the dream or the ideas that we have, but does it go out? I mean, can you ever?
Well, science seems to describe sort of the physical world, doesn't it?
Right, but that's the dream, right?
No, that's just an appearance. The only dream, the only illusion is that it's happening to somebody.
Okay, interesting. So would you say that there is a physical world?
Apparently. Yeah.
Apparently.
Well, it's not out there, but there is an apparent physical world.
So, because to me...
And it can be described by science fairly well, down to little bitty particles at this point. They're a little stuck on how nothing becomes something, and they'll always be stuck there because it doesn't.
Yeah.
Nothing is something, but they'll always be trying to explain it, make a story out of it. And of course you can't do that, but they can explain the physical world and do a good job of it, I think. Don't you? We get computers and transistor radios, all that stuff out of science.
Say, Jim, I think it does to a point, to a practical level, level, not in a real absolute level.
Well, there's no way to explain the absolute. There's no way to explain, because this is the absolute. You can't explain this. It's a mystery.
Yeah, but I think that's the problem is science. They want to.
Well, yeah.
When they go, and when you have the Big Bang and all the stories of the galaxies,
but it's not a problem.
Well, I think it's just that I think people look to scientists for the explanation.
Well, they look to everything. The individual seeks, period. It seeks. It'll go into spirituality. It'll go into religion. It'll try to eat enough or have enough sex or learn enough. What it's trying to do is it's trying to add to itself. All it has is knowing. It calls it experience. It calls it owning. It calls all these things. But all it has is knowing. It's an exercise in knowing. And it continually tries to add more and more to itself through knowing. The problem is that knowing is the need to know. So as soon as I know I am then on a journey to know enough so that I no longer need to know.
Wow. Yeah.
And that journey, that need to know, makes this appear incomplete or something missing. It isn't. It already isn't. Even that experience of need to know has no effect on this not having any need. Makes no difference.
No effect on that. Okay. Yeah. And that story is there's a story of me.
Yeah, well, me and the story are the same thing.
Okay. And that's always in time and space. But
there's still time and space. It's just not real. The experience of knowing is the experience that time and space are real.
So we're creating time and space in a way.
Not as a choice. It's as an effect of the arising of the experiential center that says, I know I am. Here. It all actually starts with the knowing or experience of here.
Okay. So Jim,
that's a dream. There's no here.
There's no here. There's no now. So would you say
no now?
Yeah. So there's no. So would you say cause and effect are
apparent?
Are apparent, but there's no absolute quality to.
No, there's no absolute. There's no absolute quality because the absolute contains all qualities.
Okay. Yeah. So would you say like even birth and death and all of that's part of the same? It's
all the same. It's this appearing as birth and death. Again, it has no effect.
Wow. Yeah.
It only has an effect when time becomes real through the experience of here or I am or I know. And then death is a big problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's only
but it's all right. It's just a dream.
Dream. So this is really a big deal to understand that this is all a dream. Birth and death are just a dream. And
well, they're appearances. There's apparent birth. I mean, you can see dead bodies, so there's apparent death, but it never happens to you.
Wow.
It's just an illusion.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Yeah. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Hi, Jim.
Hey.
Tom.
Hey, Tom.
Thanks so much for these sessions. A couple of questions. How is the perspective that you're presenting, how is that not another form of knowing? I mean, it is...
Well, for an individual, for the individual, it is a form of knowing. And what the individual will do is it'll try to apply it to its life. I call that applied non-duality, which is an oxymoron. Because non-duality isn't a thing. So it's a misunderstanding. But what's being pointed to is this without concept. That's what's being suggested.
Mm-hmm. But if it's all, if knowing and searching is given this futile picture,
yeah,
how can one trust one knowing versus another? How can one trust
it makes no difference
versus another?
Makes no difference. Trust, you only want trust because you have beliefs, because you live in a dependent reality of hope of something coming about, looking for something. When there's no one left, there's no need for trust or hope or belief. And you will never get rid of the need of trust or the need of hope or the need of belief. You can't do it. It actually is just a function of the experience of the individual belief. As soon as the individual arises, it's like this rod that comes up, this thing, I know it's everywhere, but anyway, it comes up here. Around it, you get a donut of beliefs making sense out of its hope or its story about itself, about how it's going to find what's lost. So it comes up with spiritual ideas or other ideas about how it's going to find what it feels lost. The individual has no effect on that. It's part and parcel of the experience of separation and the need, or the experienced need to find something else.
And we talk about it, or you spoke about the underlying mystery, and the very word.
There's no underlying mystery. There's no underlying. It is only mystery.
Only mystery. But
the whole thing is a mystery. That's why the individual is an illusion. It says it knows. It doesn't. It can't. It's a mystery. No one knows.
But mystery implies solving the mystery, doesn't it?
No, only to me. Only to me. Only me needs or wants to solve the mystery. When there's no one left, the mystery is, it's just gorgeous, unsolved, without any need to be solved. Not gorgeous as an experience, but in this conversation, that's how it arises. It's just beautiful, a mystery that doesn't need to be solved. Which is this. This doesn't need action. This doesn't need anything to happen. It does not need to be understood or known or controlled. That's just part of the illusion.
One last question related, I think, is would it be, and part, I know we can't talk about getting rid of this me, this no me state that you're talking about. But would it be incorrect to identify the I am with this what's happening that you're talking about?
Oh, totally. The I am is the illusion.
But there is a what's happening.
Not really.
Here we are, isn't this?
Totally. But this isn't really happening. It seems to be happening, but it's not coming from anywhere. It's not going anywhere, and it's not solid. It's completely insubstantial.
Agreed. It's not solid. But when you talk about not solid, it's not material.
Yeah.
But
apparently it is.
Well, yeah. It's real in the sense that it's being experienced.
No, it's not. Only in the dream is it experienced.
In the dream, whatever you call it.
No. I'm talking about the end of experience. That's what the message is. The experience is the illusory experience of here and there. And that is the cause of all of the need to go looking for something else. That we're pointing to the end of experience as the end of I am, as the end of ownership of the appearance, the absolute anarchy of the appearance.
But are you not experiencing, even if it's...
No, you're not either. That's the thing. You're not either. There isn't experience. There's only immediacy. There isn't separation. It's an illusion. I'm serious. It's an illusion.
But whether you call it an illusion or not an illusion, it's something. I mean, whether you say
No, it's not.
happening or not happening.
No. The appearance appears to happen, not as an experience, but as just arising. The experience of knowing it is completely illusory and only happens to that singular experience. If there's an individual, there's only one individual, and that's it. There aren't other individuals. And it's possible that that illusion could end. And as long as it's there, it will live in its illusory world of being separate from everything else and being on the search for unity or wholeness or the end of the need to search.
You know, I can understand unity insofar as I can see that everything is occurring here in me.
No, that's not unity. Now, that's unity for the individual who experiences separation and tries to overcome separation through sort of seeing that nothing is apart, it's all one. But it's the other way around. There's no need to overcome the separation because there isn't any. There isn't any real experience. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. And the illusion is that there's something happening apart from something else, that there's two nows or two what is. So there's a possibility of finding the right one and losing the wrong one. There isn't a higher self or a lower self. There is simply over, but it's already over. So this is so insubstantial that you can't even say it's happening because it's already over as it's the alpha and the omega. This.
But as soon as it happens, it's replaced by something else that's happening.
But there's no continuity to it. For there to be a continuity, there has to be somebody that knows this is happening. That's the illusion. No one knows already. It's an illusion. I think I've said that. Hope you don't mind me repeating myself.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jim.
Hey.
Hi, my question to you is, I've heard you talk about how it falls away, and I know that Tony Parsons has said or mentioned how something begins to soften or loosen. That still sounds like a process.
Yep.
So can you expand on that, please?
It's not. There can be a softening, an expansion, or a resonating with this, and that's just what's happening. For the individual, as I was speaking about to Tom, it lives in a continuum of one happening being the cause of the next one, of the cause of the next one, and this one being the result of the past one. So it's in a process. And so when it hears this, it puts it in a process. Okay. It can't do anything else. It experiences everything as a part of the process of its life. And this actually doesn't, in that sense, move. It doesn't really happen. So there isn't a process. The end of the individual, which is only literally just the end of a contracted energy, a holding, is still this. This didn't go anywhere. The going somewhere in the process seems to stop. But this nothing happening isn't the result of something happening.
Okay. And would you say that it can come and go?
Yeah, it does. It seems to. For some people, it seems to come and go.
Would you say that it does for you?
No, well, there isn't anyone.
Okay. So you're one, the previous you, your timeline, would you say that's gone completely? The
timeline, I mean, I can remember, childhood and stuff like that, but that's just this appearing as that. It's not a real past. There's no story that depends upon that having happened. But we can tell each other stories about the conditioning that this has as an American and how it prefers certain things or expects people to act in certain ways. But that's just this appearing as that. It's completely meaningless, without context, actually. It just seems to have one.
Okay. And as there is no one there, would you say that you're
Well, there's no one there either, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. In your no one there, would you say that would you say that since it fell away that you are less triggered by things? And if you are triggered, it's just what's happening. But if you can compare it to before, would you say that you're less triggered by things?
God, I don't know. Probably. I don't know. Maybe. One thing that there's a couple of things which I couldn't believe. One is, I asked someone who wasn't there when I was still there if they remember what it was like to seek. And they said, no, I don't remember. And I was like, oh, yeah, right. But you do, you forget. You forget of what it's like to seek. And the past isn't so, I noticed that it's not very strongly there because there's no one left who's referring to it all. The individual is constantly putting itself into context. Is constantly knowing where it is in its life, in its story. When there's no one there and there's no need for this to become anything, there's no need to know your story or what this is anymore. So there's no one left rumoring around in the past and keeping that all alive. So that just fades a bit.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
What is holding on? What is still trying to define itself?
Yeah, knowing.
Knowing.
Yeah. It's just an exercise in knowing. There's a here-ness that arises as I know I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And that knowing engenders the need to know. And so it goes on a search to know enough. It wants to know enough. There isn't enough because there isn't anything knowable in that sense. It can't ever find enough to satisfy the need to know because the need to know is the need to know more.
Mm-hmm. And when you say this, I noticed the same thing this morning. Something shuts off. It doesn't hear it.
Yeah, I know. I know exactly what you mean. Doesn't matter. Hearing it or not hearing it it just doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a process. You don't have to understand a word that's being said. There's no value in what's being said at all.
Mm-hmm. So why do I understand this and I didn't understand that?
Oh, a protection. Self-protection. In the same way that it won't hear what's being said, it'll try to apply it to its life. It'll think it understands what's being said. It'll change it. It'll literally change it.
Mm-hmm.
It'll say, so what Jim is saying is there's nothing you can do, which of course couldn't be further away from the message. Or it'll say, he must mean this. Oh, he says there's no consciousness. So he doesn't mean there's no consciousness. He's trying to tell us something else.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's no experience. Oh, that's ridiculous. How could there be no experience? It'll do that with everything.
Mm-hmm.
It has to, because it can't make sense of the message.
So how is it possible that you even speak?
Nobody does speak.
Mm-hmm. Where does the speech come from?
In the same place as everything else comes from. No thing. That's all that's happening. No thing is happening.
Mm-hmm. So what's love? What is love? What is love?
What is what? What is love? Love. Well, we can talk about unconditional love, but that's merely a reflection of the conditioned experience sort of running into the unconditional or the unconditioned reality or appearance. So all there is unconditional love. All there is unconditional freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the appearance has no limits or rules, it is and could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
This is anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Robert.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Jim.
Hey.
I wrote this down because I'm not trying to work it out in the sense of I need to work it out, right? But something happened in that I've always kind of been intrigued and kind of got the thing that I'm not at cause, that when something happens, the me shows up to say I did that, but actually it's just what happens. And I've always kind of got that, you know? But what I've never got before, and I'm kind of aware that in saying that it sounds like I'm getting this, but is that I'm not that when something happens to me, it's always been as if it's been happening to me. But what I think I've just got is that in the same way that it's not me that does something going that way, it happens and I say, hey, I did that. So if I pinched myself, first of all, actually I didn't pinch myself, there was just the pinching, right? And now there's the sensating. And what seems to happen is that sensating is happening to me, but there's just the sensating, and then I show up and say that I'm experiencing that pain, right?
Yeah.
Now, and then the thing that seemed to come together was that you and Tony and Andreas in very different ways, but you'll say things like, and that's just part of everything as well. That meing is part of everything as well. Now, it's kind of like, well, of course it's part of everything, because it's certainly not part of that, and it's certainly not part of the doing. It's just, you know, the illusion is that that's part of that. It's part of
the illusion is that they're parts.
Yeah. Sorry.
But this is everything.
I can't say it.
This is everything.
Yeah.
The pain is everything.
Yeah.
There's just simply everything. There's not a supra reality in which everything happens. There's just happening.
Yeah.
And the illusion is it's happening to you. And you can't understand that.
Hi, Jim.
Hey.
When you say applied non-duality, is it also the thought that, for example, okay, it doesn't matter what I do or not do?
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, that's all. Thanks.
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
I just realized this unconditional love, it's also in the appearance of devil.
Yeah. It's all the horrible things you can think of.
And it doesn't
unconditional.
matter.
What's that?
It doesn't matter.
No, it's unconditional.
I noticed after the morning talks how important me is, how important I am. It creates a sense of specialness, you know.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And of course, on the other hand, a lot of fear and anxiety.
It's very special, the me. Well, that's its experience. That's why it likes teachers that wear funny hats and sit on thrones, because it reflects the specialness that it has.
But it really doesn't matter.
No. Awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's freedom. That's like absolute freedom.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Thanks.
Hi, Jim.
Hey.
So I have some states when I don't know why I don't see you. Sorry. Because when I asked in the morning, I didn't see you either.
Oh.
So now I'm going to find you.
Yeah, look for me.
Oh, I see you. Okay.
There I am.
Yeah.
You got to change your frequency. The spiritual frequency has to be high enough for me to show up on your screen.
Oh, okay.
You know that's bullshit, right? That was a joke. That's a joke.
Oh, really? That was
yes.
a joke. I believed it totally.
You did not.
Yeah. So my question would be that I have sometimes these states when everything is just happening, like you are sometimes saying, but I don't know. I just wanted to ask what is that then? Like
that's just what's happening. There's no value. There's no value to what this is talking about, or there being the experience of separation, or whatever happens. There's no value to this appearance.
What do you mean by no value? I wanted to ask that because I don't know your terminology so well. So what do you,
like the lady before says,
no,
it doesn't matter. The individual is always looking for value. It always thinks this is better than that, or I'm going to be a good person. That's one of the things it loves to tell itself, is that it's trying to be a good person. That's part of its story, is I'm going to be a good person, and being a good person will bring me closer to what I'm looking for. And of course, I know what being a good person is, and that's what I do. It's like a straitjacket, being a good person.
Mm.
And that's the value of what I do and who I am in my life. And it's the value I put on everything else around me as well. So if I'm a good person, then I judge everybody else who's not doing it the way I'm doing it, because then they're bad people. Because what they're doing won't lead to my story's idea of what's going to bring freedom or completion or whatever. And in that sense, that's just an illusion. There are no good people. There's no such thing as good and bad. This appearance is valueless. There's only value in the story of the individualist looking for value or something important.
So when I experience this very nice state or experience, when I feel everything is just happening, flowing spontaneously, and then I put value onto it, or I add value that, oh, this is great. I want it to be like this, or this must be like I would imagine the recognition that you talk about as like a permanent state of this spontaneous.
Yeah, but it's not a state.
Flowing.
It's not a state.
I kind of know it's not a state, but somehow I try to.
Because it's not anything in particular. It's the end of the need for this to be something in particular. You're talking about a particular experience as being better than another experience. Yeah. We're talking. The suggestion is that that's part of the illusion that comes out of seeking, and the end of experience is the end of the need for this to appear as anything in particular, and that's not an experience. Okay.
Thank you.
I love I say the most nonsensical things and people go, okay. Now I have to cover up my camera, Rita told me. Cover up my camera. And then maybe I won't be pink and yellow and white anymore.
Just for 2 seconds. Yeah.
No, it didn't work. Didn't work. I'm all right, aren't I? Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. So it's just like this personal, whatever. It's just, it's not personal. It's just also an appearance, and it comes like just something, and nothing really.
I don't think I understood what you were saying.
It's like this contraction. It's not here. It's this like stuffy energy.
There is an actual contraction in the body, but the real time as real only starts when that is assumed to be a knowing here-ness. Out of that arises the I am. And around the I am builds up belief systems about how to solve the issue of being I am.
Yeah, and it's not happening. It's it's the veil. It's just
it's a veil.
It's just like this. And
yeah, totally. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, another quick question related to the discussion where it said that there's no value in what happens, that it doesn't matter. What about what we think of as moral responsibility? Is there
that's just part of the dream of the individual.
So,
I mean, how could there be moral responsibility if no one makes a choice?
Well, intellectually, I understand that, but what about the situations I face in life? Suppose I count myself as a guard in a prison camp. Do I have no moral responsibility?
None. There's no possibility to have moral responsibility. There's no one that could be responsible.
Tricky. Not
at all. To me, it's intolerable. To the individual, it's intolerable because it's just another, it just undermines the experience that being a good person is going to lead to something that it feels like it needs. That the experience of the individual is that the appearance, has an intention. It's on a process. It's becoming. This whole thing is becoming. It's the reason people are so frustrated when it doesn't go well, because it thinks that the whole world becoming like a peaceful, wonderful, let's all dance together place is sort of what they're all working for. That's sort of the idea. That's what it should be. That comes out of the need of the individual, that arises out of the experience that this isn't complete already. There is absolutely nothing wrong anywhere. Couldn't possibly be, because there's no underlying intention to the appearance. It's at complete balance, complete equilibrium.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. If there's a reason for the sense of being a person to arise, no. If there's a reason for the sense of person, no, there's no reason. There's no reason for anything.
Hi, Jim.
Hey.
Hi. So I just had a baby, and
exciting.
And it's kind of interesting to think about this and like have somebody that I'm assuming there isn't anyone in more obviously. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, well, it's obvious in the baby that there's no one there, isn't it?
Kind of, I guess. I don't know.
Totally. Yeah.
I try to remember that when he's crying.
Yeah. Well, why shouldn't there be crying? You don't need a person to cry.
Sure. Yeah. I don't. So So I guess it makes me think, you say it's not here either. That's the dream is that there's someone here.
Yeah.
So why does it seem like that's the way of the person for the dream to happen in the human body?
Well, because that's what seems to be your experience.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it seems like that's just what happens for everyone almost.
You don't know that, do you?
Yeah, I mean, well, it seems pretty common, I suppose.
We might be the only 150. How does somebody, when there isn't anybody, act? How do you know?
Right.
That there is somebody?
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
The individual lives in a world of what it thinks it knows, a world of knowing, and it's worked it out so that it makes sense to it. Can I see her? I've seen a picture already. Hey, what's her name?
This is Leo, as a boy.
Leo. Hey, Leo. I mean, can you see there's nothing in there?
I know, it's just hollow.
It's just hollow loveness.
Yeah, I guess. Well, this is nice because I couldn't come to an event with the baby, you know?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Jim.
Yeah, thanks, Diego.
Hello again. I was okay to ask another question. I'm sorry I missed this morning's session, Jim. A couple of questions, really, just on trying to get an idea of the words that you're using. So I understand what you're. So you've talked about the appearance, and it's. I don't know if it's random, but it is and it is not, and apparent. It's everything and nothing.
Yeah.
And the appearance apparently arises from nothing.
It is
not. It's not the illusion. It's apparent.
No. Yeah.
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 So I've got. Does time and space
are apparent?
They are apparent. Okay. How do you know that it arrives from nothing?
Don't.
So is this just an arising out of nothing saying something?
Absolutely.
That it doesn't know?
Absolutely.
Okay. So then come to the dream that you've talked about in your videos. And that is basically that it's happening to me and that there's some sort of consequence involved in the sequence.
Yeah.
And that is also what you refer to as the illusion.
Yeah.
The illusion is not the appearance. It's the dream.
The illusion is apparent, but it's completely illusory. It's the only part of the appearance that has no reality at all, except to itself.
Yeah. And seeking is part of the dream.
Seeking is part of is part and parcel of the dream.
I see. Okay.
So when there's when there's the I am, when there's knowing, there's seeking.
Chaos. I think my room versus the divine chaos I'd probably win that, actually. So
No, the room is divine chaos.
Okay.
These words are divine chaos. That guitar is divine chaos.
Okay.
There is only divine chaos appearing ordered.
Right. And that is part of the appearance.
Yeah.
Are you aware of, well, I'm sure you are, of what William Blake calls divine humanity?
No.
Is this teaching anything, or not teaching, but is this message and this illumination anything in that line?
Not that I would know of. No.
Okay.
I couldn't get through his work. I don't know what that says about me, but.
No, okay.
Mystical Experience or something. What was his book? I couldn't get through it.
I've just read his poetry, so.
Right.
And so consequence does that appear to you in the way that you see things? You can, presumably, exactly the same way as I can, see the consequence between things.
Totally.
Yeah, good.
But there is no real cause and effect.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, there is apparent consequence, and the apparent consequence of this being 7:30 is that this meeting is apparently over. But thank you all very much for coming. Love you all totally.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Jim. Thanks, Jim.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Thanks, Enrico.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye, Enrico. Bye.
There's again.
Love you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you, Rita.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Love Jim.
Thanks, Rita. Bye. Bye.
Bye.